So I went back to college to get my bachelor's degree when my youngest child was in college at the same time. It was a strategy for us to get more financial aid, and I definitely recommend the strategy. At that time, I had already been blogging for about 5 or 6 years, mainly about personal style. So it made sense for me to study nonverbal communication. I still wasn't convinced about the link between how we look, our personality, and what our style is. But today I'm going to share something that was very interesting that I discovered then, which is an overlap between William Sheldon's somatotypes from the 1940s and the 16 personality system, Myers-Briggs. I'm Rebecca Mielke. As your visual identity guide, I take you on a journey of self-discovery so you can align your inner and outer self, show up confidently, and contribute your gifts to the world. As your first step to self-discovery, I invite you to download my new free guide, Discover Your Style DNA, a guide to seasonal energy and personality colors. There's a link in the show description, or you can find it at my website, signaturestylesystems.com. Okay, so just an introduction to somatotyping, which you've probably heard of before. It's kind of been around for a long time. People don't talk about it very often. And William Sheldon came up with this theory in the 1940s. So his idea is that there are three constitutional types. The first is an endomorph, which is a softer build with rounded contours. A mesomorph, which is a muscular build with taut contours. And then an ectomorph, which is a lean build with straight contours. So how this overlaps with the style system that I have is that I use with it is with its body contour line. Like, is your body more soft and rounded? Is it more taut and with taut curves or sometimes angular shapes? And then, or is it more linear? So the personality correlations, which Sheldon came up with, very curious. Endomorphic, he would call nurturing, warm-hearted, sociable, and traditional. Mesomorphic, he would call self-directed, adventurous, and action-oriented. And then the ectomorph, he would call contemplative, ambitious, and detail-oriented. So back when I was blogging, I found a diagram on the internet that, and I will post that image, the image of the diagram. I'll post it in there. There'll be a companion article to this podcast over at my website, signaturestylesystems.com. Sadly, the link to where I first found this image is broken, and I have no idea who actually came up with this idea. But what it basically looked like is a triangle, kind of, with three poles. At the top is the muscular emphasis, which is the mesomorph body type. The bottom left of the triangle is the softness emphasis, which is the endomorph. And then the bottom right is the linear, or he called it ectomorph. So that's the bottom right. And then let me tell you here, after working with plenty of women to discover their body type considerations, even if a person is carrying a little extra weight, these characteristics, the shapes, the softness or the tautness, the even the linear aspect, these things are going to show up. Mostly, yeah, they're going to usually show up, and they're in the personality as well. Okay, so the pattern of the types, how the types are arranged in this, overlaid on Sheldon's somatotyping, and then the implications of this. So introversion and extroversion. The extroverts are mainly near the top, which is the mesomorph or muscular type. And I think this is because their primary reality is the physical, actionable outer world. That is basically the difference between an extrovert and an introvert. The extrovert, the real world is the outer world, where the introvert, the real world is the inner, their own inner experience. So introverts are positioned toward the bottom and the edges because their primary reality is their inner world and their physical expression is secondary or serving their inner life. So you see the extroverted types at the top and in the middle, and then you see the introverted types along the bottom and the outer edges of the bottom. Then for intuition and sensing, intuitive types tend to concentrate toward the bottom, and sensing types cluster more towards the top, which makes sense with intuitive types tend to live more in their mind than in their body, and it might indicate less focus on physical development, but plenty of intuitive types are concerned with their physical development. And then the sensing types clustering towards the top kind of shows their natural connection to physical reality. And it may suggest greater body awareness or development. Yeah. So thinking and feeling. The feeling types tend to appear on the left side, which is the on the bottom. The two poles on the bottom are the endomorph on the left, more associated with feeling, and then the ectomorph more on the right, more associated with thinking. So feeling types align with a softer, more adaptable physical expression, and it suggests also a preference for fluid movement. Thinking types tending to show up on the right of this diagram, it correlates with more defined, precise physical patterns and movements, and a preference for structured movement. And then judging and perceiving, this is a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more nebulous, maybe. Judging types, they appear on this diagram in more defined positions. And then, so that might just suggest clearer physical preferences, where the perceiving types occupy like transitional spaces, like more, like in between kind of places. So they might be more physically adaptable. So here's how to use the body contour line to choose fabrics that are going to be in harmony with your body. So the architectural type, this is what I call it, architectural. It's aligned with the linear body type. The characteristics being straight lines, obvious bone structure, And the best fabrics are kind of structured fabrics, something that can hold a shape. And examples of those fabrics would be like wool, linen, canvas. And if you want to use a softer, drapier fabric, so we're mainly talking about structured fabrics, but if you wanted to use something drapier, you could use it in volume, creating volume with either gathering, ruching, folds, draping, that type of thing. And an example that comes to my mind is, so I had a friend who was very linear and structured in her body, in her approach to life, and she dressed that way for work. But one day she showed up here to pick me up for just a fun little shopping trip we were going out, and she was wearing wide-legged drapey pants that were, like gathered at the waist, and a ribbed sweater. Because the fabric of the pants was in volume, it was still in harmony with her structured body type. As opposed to, like, sometimes I've seen women in like professional settings wearing kind of thin, soft, drapey fabric. And then their kind of bones are showing through it, which is really inelegant looking. And then the ribbing of the knit that she was wearing for her sweater, you can see how ribbing has sort of a linear quality to it. And this outfit was like fun on her. It was a break from what she normally did for work, but it was great. So the sculptural, I like to use these artistic names, right? The muscular type. And then the characteristics are taut curves and muscular definition. I see sometimes even like straight lines or like geometric shapes in people's muscular structure that you can see. So the best fabrics for this body contour line are medium taut to medium drape. Um, so it's going to be a fabric that has some stretch usually, but it's it's also got some firmness and not super, super thin. So jersey substantial knits are good options for this. Also, like so many of the fabrics that are out there now that have just have a good amount of stretch in them. And then if you want an adaptive technique, um, you can use curved seams over curved parts of the body. If you want to wear like a more structured or taut fabric. And then if you want to wear a fluid like chiffon or something like that, wear it in volume, like draping or ruching, and then wear it in combination with a more taut fabric. And then finally, the molded or soft body contour line. The characteristics are soft curves and flowing lines. And then the best fabrics are medium drape to fluid, like challis, fine knits, draped fabric, and then how you would adapt to this body type using different fabrics would be if you want to use a taut fabric on a molded or curved body, you need to pay special attention to the fit and then just use curved seams over any curved areas. So to integrate these ideas into your signature style, just remember that, I mean, your personality is going to trump your body type, but all of it should harmonize. And you can use the different techniques that I've listed here, like using a softer fabric in volume or using fit, curved seams and fit to fit a more taut fabric to the curved body. But the biggest thing is for you to find the fabrics that make you feel like yourself. So for homework for this episode, how about just identifying your favorite fabrics? What are some of your favorite garments to wear? And how much of the reason that these are your favorites is because of the fabric? It's sometimes surprising what a difference that can make to how you feel in your clothes. Thank you for being here for the Signature Style Systems podcast. Have fun being you, and I'll meet you back here again real soon.